Thanks for the opportunity. We're in support of both of these bills, 2499, 2500. Look, we know that the citizens' initiative process has become broken, gone for sale. The current law allows out-of-state giant firms to essentially buy public policy, a huge amount of spending. It protects their bottom line, their corporate stock price, but at the risk of the health of our state citizens and our state economy. I don't have to remind you that in 2010, $57 million was spent on 9 ballot measures and 1 referendum. This was 4 times more per ballot measure than ever before in state history, most of it corporate cash, out of state. In 2011, we all saw what happened when $22 million was given by one business entity. They essentially bought an election result. We must reclaim the intent of our initiative process. How can voters possibly keep their bearings with this kind of winds blowing? Let me just mention that regardless of 20-year-old Supreme Court hearings, citizens of this state know that we have to take action on this. If the Supreme Court has ruled that these kinds of laws are not possible, maybe it's time to amend the United States Constitution. We totally support what the sponsor of the bill said, which is to let's move this bill forward. If it brings a court challenge, let's have it on. The citizens of the state know this is the right thing to do. We are firmly in support of both of these bills. Thank you for the time.
You just missed the objection seat.
I was worried about that, Mr. Chairman.
Next, please. Don't debate, you lose your time.
Thank you. Representative Hunt, members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Andrew Villenueve. I am the Executive Director of the Northwest Progressive Institute based in Redmond. I think these bills are about a compelling state interest in protecting open government and transparency in elections. Voters need to know what's going on when they're voting in an election. They need to know who's trying to influence them. And on TV, when the mail comes and they look at what's in their mailbox and they look at what's on that mail, they need to know who's behind it. Because it's a question of transparency, being able to know who's delivering what information and what that information means when you know who's behind it. The courts have indeed ruled recently. I think the Citizens United decision is familiar to all of us. The courts have ruled that there is, in this country, a situation whereby, since corporations are people, since they have been sort of given that same cloak, that we cannot regulate then what corporations do because they are people. And I think that while that decision needs to be overturned, we can, in the meantime, do a lot to improve transparency so that people know what's coming at them. Because if people don't know, then they're basically getting set up to make decisions where they don't have all the facts, all the information in front of them. So I would urge members of this committee to work on improving these bills. Don't discard them, move them forward, keep them alive, and try to improve them. We'll work with you to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Steve?
My name's Steve Zemke. I'm chair of the King County Democrats. We support both of these bills. I think the issue here is one of fair elections, and it's hard to have fair elections when you don't know who's making the arguments. The provision to say the top 5 people to put money into the campaign, if it's good for you guys, I think it's good for ballot initiatives. They're no different. You deal with public policy, ballot measures deal with public policy. So you need to make public who's putting the money into campaigns. It's not Citizens for Fair Jobs or Citizens for a Great Economy. There's interest behind that, and the public has a right to know rather than just some fluffy name up front that sounds good. The issue of disclosure is important, but also the issue of the same thing, if there should be limits on what you guys get, then there should be limits in terms of what goes, in terms of what people can give to candidate campaigns. In other words, it's the voters that should have the final say in this, and if one side is nominating the other through the influence of huge amounts of money, the public, that is not a fair election. Paid speech is what we're talking about. Who's paying for that speech? Just because you can spend lots of money, that's not a free speech issue, it's paid speech. So we urge you to support both of these measures. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Padada, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that, the PDC keeps updating their programs, making it easier and easier to use the website, I think. Are you telling me you don't think they're doing a good enough job? You don't think that information's available? Because I can sure look it up in about 2 seconds. Do you think the PDC is not doing an adequate job of putting this out?
Again, if it's fair to be on your advertisement in terms of who's sponsoring it, if people are spending money for or against your campaign, to know who's putting that money in. I think the same issue goes for initiative campaigns. Not everybody has a computer, not everybody has access to it, but they do. Probably more people see television, see ads, they see paid things coming out. I think when it's there, the idea of someone going and trying to make that connection is not always going to happen. I think it should be right there when the message is there to say, same as we ask, this message is paid for by the President of the United States or is paid for by the U.S. Senator. I think it should be the same disclosure needs to be there for initiative campaigns. Who's paying, who's trying to influence your opinion on that particular measure.
Okay, thank you.